The sun was slipping low over the Montana plains, painting the sky in that golden orange that made everything look softer than it really was. Out there, nothing was soft. The wind bit, the land fought back, and people carried more secrets than bullets. Eli Turner was one of those men, a ranch hand with calloused hands, quiet eyes, and a story that nobody really knew. He didn't talk much, not because he didn't have words, but because the one person he wanted to talk to had stopped listening long ago. He was mending a broken fence post that evening when he saw her wagon rolling down the dirt road. His heart almost forgot to beat. It had been 3 years, but he'd know that red shawl anywhere. Clara, she looked different, older maybe, or just tired. Dust covered her bonnet, her hands gripped the reins tight, and beside her sat a little boy, no older than 5, clutching a small wooden horse. Eli froze. For a moment, the whole world went quiet, even the wind stopped. She pulled up the wagon near the corral. "Even in, Eli," she said softly, her voice almost swallowed by the breeze. He swallowed hard. "Even in, Clara." It was the first time they'd spoken since the day she left. Back then, Eli had nothing. Just a small ranch, a half-built cabin, and dreams too big for a man with empty pockets. Clara was the daughter of Judge Hollingsworth, rich, proud, and used to getting her way. Her father had never liked Eli, said he wasn't fit for a lady like her. But Clara, back then, had said love didn't care about class or cattle. She'd proved it too. She'd met Eli in secret by the riverbank every evening for nearly a year. That's where they made promises, whispered dreams, and once, just once, said forever. But forever ended the night her father caught them. By morning, she was gone, sent east to marry a man she'd never met. Eli had written to her every week after that, letters full of hope and heartbreak. He never got a single one back. Until now. He looked at the little boy beside her, the same hazel eyes, the same shy half-smile. Eli felt his chest tighten. "Yours?" he asked. She nodded, her eyes meeting his for the first time in years. "His name's Samuel." The boy gave a polite nod, clutching his toy horse. Eli forced a smile, but inside he was breaking apart. The resemblance was too strong, there was no denying it. Samuel wasn't just her boy. He was theirs. They didn't talk much that night. She said she needed shelter. Her husband had passed in a mining accident, and she had nowhere else to go. Eli offered her the spare cabin without a word. He couldn't say no, not to her. Days turned into weeks. Clara helped around the ranch, cooking, mending, even teaching Samuel to feed the colts. Eli tried to keep his distance, but every glance, every laugh, every shared memory pulled him back to who they were. One night, when the rain came hard and the fire crackled in the hearth, she found him sitting alone, staring at the old letters spread out on the table, yellowed, creased, and unsent. "I wrote you," he said quietly, not looking up. "Every week for 2 years. Never stopped." Her lips trembled. "I never got them." He finally met her eyes. "Your father." She nodded. Tears filled her eyes. "He burned them. Said I was better off forgetting you." She paused, voice breaking. "I tried, Eli. God knows I tried, but I couldn't." For a long while, neither spoke. The sound of rain filled the silence. Then Eli stood, his hands trembling as he picked up one of the letters. He held it out to her. "Read it." Her fingers brushed his as she took it. The letter was simple, just Eli's handwriting, shaky and raw. "Clara, I don't know if you'll ever see this, but I want you to know, I still believe in forever. Even if forever doesn't want me." By the time she finished reading, tears were rolling down her cheeks. "I never stopped loving you," she whispered. Eli's eyes softened, but pain still lingered. "You have a son now, Clara. You've got a life. I ain't gonna mess that up." She stepped closer, her voice low. "You already are my life, Eli. Always were." He didn't know who moved first, but somehow their foreheads were touching, their hands finding each other in the flicker of firelight. It wasn't wild or desperate, it was something quieter. Something that had waited too long. But the West had a way of testing love. 2 days later, a man rode in from town, Sheriff Callan. He was a friend of Eli's, but his face was grim. "Eli," he said, dismounting. "I need to talk to you." They stepped aside, and the sheriff handed him a crumpled telegram. Eli read it, and his stomach dropped. It was from Judge Hollingsworth. He'd found out Clara was living with Eli, and he was coming for her. By sunset, riders appeared on the ridge. The judge wasn't alone, he'd brought 2 hired guns. Eli told Clara to stay inside with Samuel. Then he walked out, rifle in hand, the dust swirling around his boots. The judge's face was older, harder, but that same cold pride was still there. "I warned you, Turner," he said. You think you can take her back after all these years? Eli didn't answer. You're nothing but a ranch hand, the judge sneered. You'll drag her and that boy into the dirt. Eli's voice was low. That boy is mine. The judge's eyes flickered, but he didn't back down. You'll never have him. And then, everything happened fast. The hired men reached for their guns, and Eli fired first. The crack of gunfire echoed through the valley, smoke mixing with dust and fear. When it was over, one man lay still, another was bleeding, and the judge was on his knees, shaking. Eli stood there, panting, the rifle still warm in his hands. Clara ran out, clutching Samuel. Eli, he turned to her, just as the sheriff rode back in, having heard the shots. By law, Eli had acted in self-defense, but it didn't matter. The judge swore he'd never rest until Clara and the boy were taken from him. That night, Eli packed a small bag, kissed Samuel's forehead, and looked at Clara one last time. If I stay, he'll come for you again, but if I go, maybe you'll finally be free. She grabbed his arm, crying, "Don't do this, Eli. Don't make me lose you again." He smiled sadly. "You won't, not really. You'll see me in him every day." He looked at Samuel sleeping by the fire. "That's more than I deserve." And before she could stop him, he was gone, into the dark, into the dust, leaving behind the only family he'd ever had. Years later, Samuel grew up tall and strong, just like his father. Clara never remarried. Every evening, she'd sit by the porch, watching the horizon, waiting for a figure she knew might never come. But one spring morning, when the sun rose pink over the plains, she found something tucked under her door, an old, weathered letter with her name on it. The ink was faded, the edges torn, but she recognized the handwriting instantly. "Clara, if you're reading this, it means I made it far enough to write, but not far enough to forget. I ain't much of a man, but I'm yours still, in every wind that blows across that ranch, in every sunrise Samuel sees. Maybe one day, when this land's kinder, I'll find my way home. Forever yours, Eli." She held that letter to her heart, tears falling softly. Outside, the wind carried the scent of rain and sage, and for just a moment, she swore she could hear a familiar voice on the breeze, whispering her name. And she smiled, because even after all the years, she knew one thing for sure: love never really leaves the prairie. It just rides a little farther than most hearts can follow.